Jordan had some bad color combos back in that
first colorway,
2006, 2007 era, man.
Yeah.
I love the
Blue
black
and
colorway.
yellow, red. Just like thinking. I remember it back then, just looking back and being like, you could have made the shoe just look so much better if it was just black and red and you throw yellow on it.
Yeah, but how many times can you do? Imagine how hard it is to be working a Jordan brand. And you're like, oh, we're gonna just do another black and red.
Hey, people still buy it.
What's up, everybody? It's Joe La Puma. You were watching the Complex Sneaker Show, joined by my two co-hosts, my two friends. You got to hold me down. Voice is a little.
Up? Were you at a 50 Cent concert last night?
Voice is a little raspy.
We're the Alchemist.
To my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
Hey, new year, new me.
We'll get to that in a second.
I don't get it.
To my left, Mr. Brendan Dunne.
So raspy.
So raspy.
Can I get a Jada kiss? Because
I don't think I have it.
I feel like you do have it.
I don't think I have it in me.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know. Just seasonal. I feel fine. A lot of
Don't say the
energy.
word.
Some news to get to before we get to our list.
Yeah, I want to do a little bit of leaking or recap some leaking that's already happened. I want to recap a sneaker purchase I kind of regret.
Talk about stadium goods shutting down and the whole state of sneaker resale shops.
Definitely an end of an era. And then we have a list that we'll see that we thought it would be good to talk through.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
A lot of changes in 2025.
Really?
One change. We got to do the reveal.
Oh. Oh, that's a.
We got to do a full reveal.
He just spun his cap around with
Look
the
at
360.
this.
New year, new me.
This is a big moment.
Yeah.
Drop a comment. Look he looks like a UFC fighter.
He looks like he's trying to get a seat on the board at Meta.
Oh.
What made you do that? What made you do that?
It's not the biggest deal, but I'm sure people saw that I had like the poof coming out the back
For a couple weeks.
A little mullet situation?
Couple months.
Yeah, I had like a semi mullet, but my hair is a little crazy and frizzy and curly, and I don't know. I've been cutting it, but
Do you
then I'm
feel
also
free?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting older. You start to go bald, and it's like, dude, I just walked in and I said, "Give me a one." I'm going to a wedding, and I didn't want to have to deal with.
Give me a Mr. Clean, like Doom said, or that was Victor Vaughn who said that.
I don't know. People are like, "Oh, you got the Action Bronson going on," or like,
Got your Tom Ford suit, new haircut.
I like how he said it's not the biggest deal when you're the one who planned to make a bit out of this and had the prop with the hat and everything.
No, he
put the battery in your bag.
Yeah.
Hey, be careful when this guy puts the battery in your bag. Remember how that backfired on me recently with the Patas?
Oh, yeah.
Welty had the Tom Ford suit?
No, I had to go. Joe put me on. I didn't have a Tom Ford suit, but I had to go buy a suit the other day to go to this wedding, and it was just it's a stressful experience, man.
Yeah. And did you or did you not, in that same process, just make the most expensive footwear purchase you made in a long time?
Yeah, I did, but it was
that?
it was kind of a failed.
Wait, what was
failed
that? You got
thing.
the Kohan Nikes from Stock?
No, I had to. I
The
went and
Lunar
bought
Grands aren't doing you right?
Exactly.
I went and bought a pair of $400 Allen Edmonds dress shoes, and I put them on, and then my back fired up from walking around in a heel, and I have to go return them. So.
Oh wow.
Is it possible the size was wrong? I would be so happy to hear if you were wearing the wrong size shoe all these years and I was the only buffoon.
It's because of the heel on the shoes and the injury that I've had lingering that I go to physical therapy for, whatever. But it's just, I don't know, wearing things with heels on it, a la cowboy boots in Vegas just kind of fires my back up. It's not fun. I'm old, man. I don't know.
One thing about dress shoes, I don't wear them very often. And I remember like so many occasions where I was like, maybe I'll just get Doc Martens, maybe like for a wedding, and
Doc Martens with the suit?
Yeah, just not
the high tops.
Not it.
No, not the high tops.
And then I was like, what? And then I actually got John Elliott dress shoes.
Okay.
Italian leather.
Nice.
And I think it's a sneaker podcast, but I think it's very important. A good pair of dress shoes.
It is.
You only have to wear one pair.
I feel like we're going into full like podiatry here right now.
You only have to wear one pair for these special occasions. Make it a good one.
The trouble with that, though, all the back issues aside, the problem I realized with I could have worn them, but the problem with the expensive dress shoes is that they're just so well made that when you put them on your feet, that a shoe like that doesn't break in the second you put
Like a sneaker, it's not as forgiving.
yeah, and that's what's good about them because they're made to last like
Yeah.
20 years. But you put that on your foot and you're like, oh man, I have to wear these to a wedding for the first time. I think I'm gonna be
Not the thing you want to be two-stepping in.
gonna be walking at the end of the night.
Yeah, with you.
Oh yeah, bare
Exactly.
going barefoot through the
Footwear
streets.
in
Doing
hand.
the electric slide. And
Yeah, what dance moves are you planning to bring out at the wedding?
Well, you have to
In
do like
socks.
What is?
it's like an Armenian. It's like an
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like an Armenian side to side shuffle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I talk about a footwear purchase I made that I don't want to say it's backfire, but I'm already regretting a little bit.
The flame one. Oh God! Continuing the story from last week. Sure.
Okay, the Ekiden Nike Vaporfly 3 that I bought live here on this show spent $260
Did you get
plus
your order
tax.
canceled?
No, the order is about to be delivered, but
Did the PLM personally thank you for saving their job?
that did not happen. But I was bragging about how brave I was to be spending my money and paying full price for a pair of sneakers. And I know people listening, people watching do that all the time. But right after I bought them, they hit Swoosh, which is the Nike employee website where you can
Oh,
get
yeah.
them for 40 or 50% off. They were at the employee store this past week. And I feel like somebody, can I go conspiracy mode for a second?
Sure.
You're not interested either.
No.
Right? I feel like somebody at Nike knew that Brendan Dunne was the one person who was eager to spend the full $260 on these shoes, and as soon as they saw my order come through, then they immediately were like, "Okay, we could put him on Swoosh. We can put him on the internal discount because he paid the full money. So now we'll just let him go."
Yeah, and they would be totally correct to do that. It's called karma, leaking all their shit.
Is that what it is?
Leaking all their shit.
I'm
serves you right. You want to be in the back end all the time? Maybe they were in the back end for once and saw.
The only thing I want to be at the back end of is the van. Get me on that side. Welty, what were you going to say?
I'm just still like from the last episode, and I just keep on thinking about it more and more. How much it blew my mind. Your comment about caring about, the corporate structure.
No, I did not say that.
Corporate guy.
Not,
I'm a
yeah,
corporate.
of one of the biggest.
Did I go Beaverton Bean Counter?
Dude, of one of the biggest corporations
No.
in the world of
You
giving.
No.
Let me tell you,
He's
there's a
twisting.
couple things.
You've been here before. He's twisted your words a lot on this show.
A lot.
Have my back. Put the
All right.
battery in there.
I do have your back because I do agree. He does twist words a lot, but there's a little.
I feel like Nike. I feel like Nike employees are gonna be. I don't know what happens, the internal workings there, but the reality of people purchasing money. I mean, people spending money at the biggest footwear brand in the world and one of the biggest companies in the world. That your $260 is the literal splash in an ocean of whether something
Was
is
that a
gonna.
total sycophant move?
This
Yes.
is what happened. This is what happened.
Tell me.
Okay, pardon the voice. Stay with me.
I feel like I'm getting free therapy right now.
This is what happened. Him possibly getting an enjoy the city text back from Tinker. Okay.
Never happened.
Hey, I'm here. Him thinking about Tinker responding, "Hey Brendan, happy holidays, enjoy the city." Text back. Okay. Him that has changed his mind of like, oh, maybe I should support the
Play ball.
Maybe I should play ball a little bit. That was like a rude awakening where,
Is that what you
maybe,
think?
maybe sometimes
Yeah.
things have real life consequences. Okay.
I mean, they definitely do.
okay. And then, no, because he was back up to his old tricks.
We got some leaks off this past week.
Yeah, but he was back up to his old tricks. So no, has he learned anything?
We are
no,
beholden
I
only
thought
to the
maybe
truth.
it was a realization where he had the phone like this.
Shaky.
The Rose Bowl, him and Tinker. He had dreams in the suite, draped in the chlorophyll pot of Air Maxes, head to toe
Some
green.
comms
Probably,
person said no entry.
and then
we know
he
your
was
type.
like, what was it, Thanos? Where did it leave you? Where did it lead you? Back to me, Tinker. And he didn't send the text, so maybe
Back to
Trying to get back
Beaverton.
in the good graces.
exactly. So maybe, but then no. 48 hours later, he was back on his BS.
You talking about the Slawn Nike Air Max 90 leak?
Yeah.
This is an interesting one because I don't think
You
we
didn't leak
deserve
it.
full credit for leaking
What
the shoe.
happened with
You
that?
Some people
you
kind
put
of,
the pieces together.
yes, accidentally leaked it. So Slawn, British Nigerian artist, a young guy who's been working on a Nike project for a while.
Who's also like an affiliate or loosely of Cortez, so or in that same circle of.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
And we had heard whispers of this project coming, and if you paid close attention, maybe you saw some of the signals. I met Slawn in Miami for Art Basel, and he had the Air Max DN8.
And you said
He's
last.
the one who debuted him, right? Or no?
He's part of that
Okay.
rollout for sure, and they're being very intentional about that.
So you met him in Art Basel. He had the DN8 on.
Yeah, it was very intentional. Nike was like, look, this is him wearing a hype colorway of the DNA, a shoe that they want to build energy around. He had posted a long Instagram carousel, maybe 20 deep back in December. And if you scroll to the end of it, there was a photo that pretty clearly showed him in a meeting with Nike. So if you were paying attention, he's hanging out with Nike people. He's around the people who work on collab product.
Yep.
You could have maybe ascertained that this was coming. So what happened this past week was Sneaker News posted 2 sets of images of upcoming Air Max 90s with no mention of any collaborator or no explicit detail about the background. Just like, oh, these are new Air Max 90s. They have the splatter thing to them. The uppers are different. The mud guards are different. And these were photos that were uploaded by Asphalt Gold, the German retailer.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Shout out them.
Yeah, and Asphalt Gold had put them up also with no explanation and no description of them being particularly special.
And we've seen this happen in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe not even with Nike product.
Yeah.
I know that you had like a snafu in the past with like a retailer because another retailer had posted one of their ASICs projects and it wasn't on.
I am who I am.
Yeah, but it wasn't on the calendar
Yeah.
of like launch and getting things confused. Or
And I leaked it,
What?
right?
Yes. Or
Pulled no punches.
yeah. Or maybe you didn't even leak at the time because another person had posted like same thing. Another retailer had posted it.
We highlighted it.
Yes.
Yeah. So Asphalt Gold, I think they had a snafu where somebody put the shoes up super early, didn't realize it was a launch product. I think these were supposed to come out in March. They didn't say anything about Slawn. Sneaker News didn't say anything about Slawn because the general public didn't know that this British-Nigerian artist Slawn was going to have this project.
So you didn't leak it. You identified it correctly.
Yes, but also we leaked and broke the news that this was happening, and this is a brand new artist added to Nike's roster, which I think is exciting. So
no, I think people were excited about that when there was like the word of just there's going to be a Slawn Nike collaboration that I saw people online saying, oh, this is the energy that we need, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. I think it's super cool, especially looking to Nigeria and grabbing someone from there. I think there's so much interesting stuff happening there right now. And just we've talked about it on here as recently as this last episode of Nike going back to some of the same collab partners, Tom Sachs and things like that.
All of what it means for, what's hot right now. Like that's awesome as well that Nike's tapped into that. But just the idea of new people is the most exciting thing about it, like all like kids of immigrants, just or Cortez or Slawn, just having this new crop of people instead of trying to recreate the old magic with
also
the same
like
name.
super artistic, super stylish dude.
Yes, for sure. And the other funny part of this was we weren't 100% sure just based off the images, although if you look at the heel badge, there's a face on there that looks like what he does in his artwork. But there was also a random YouTube user in the Netherlands, and I don't know if they bought them real quick off Asphalt Gold, but they had an in-hand pair of these Air Max 90s, and they showed the box. They had no idea what they were, and the box has this graph writing on there that says Air Slawn. So we were like, okay, this is definitely what this is.
And it's crazy too because I see how much storytelling can play a role in a shoe because we're just seeing these two products.
Yeah.
And some people, this is and also one of the biggest flaws of sneaker media too, where people
Me
are
leaking?
No. I haven't finished the sentence. Is that blogs are just so hungry for need another post, where you don't even sit down and think, what is this? And you're just like, I'm going to put up new black and white Air Max 90s and just write about it like it's a black and white Air Max 90 without putting any other thought into it, like you had said about Sneaker News, where it's just like they're just writing about it like it's a generic product without even knowing like what the story is behind it, you know?
I know what you mean, but also I don't think that we can ding them too much for that on this because I think it would have been hard not knowing the background of a Slawn Nike project coming to look at those and put those pieces together.
But also reporting on something that you don't even know like what it is. It's like really missing the forest for the trees.
You're right.
Situation in not like saying the grandest bit of it, but really when it's like this is a collaboration and you don't even realize it with a big Nike product, you know?
Yeah.
It's like putting like if the Air Jordan 1 had come out in 1985 and there were sneaker blogs back then and people were just like black and red leather Nike high tops coming out, you know? Like and then not realizing that this is Michael Jordan sneaker, etc. So that's kind of what they did. But either way, I say that to say you look at the two shoes, and we don't know the stories behind them. I think you can kind of ascertain a little bit that the black pair is maybe he was into black Air Max 90s, the white splatter on it kind of is like the painting process. You
Yeah.
can like kind of get that story without him telling that to you.
Yeah.
But I think that white pair just falls flat because you don't have any storytelling behind it.
Yeah.
And just to see that white leather Air Max 90 like that is so boring.
Mhm.
And it's not like a shot at him or anything like that. So I don't want it to be viewed as that. But just seeing the product, you know, at face value, like, this is his next collaboration. And you're like, oh, that's all you did with it? Because you don't know any story now. And there might be a really cool story to it. And then you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But now I don't get it, and I'm just like, man, you just did a white Air Max 90.
I know what you mean. I like, Joe, do you like either of these? Black pair, a little bit of a JLP shoe.
He thinks that I'm gonna wear those.
I think
With
they're
the white
cool.
splatter. I like the black pair a decent amount.
But it just,
I just haven't worn a 90 in so long.
that's the tough part.
I haven't worn a 90 in so long.
That's the tough part is that not that Air Max 90s don't have an important history
Mhm.
or, you know, past, especially when it comes to collaborations. So
And for you, you've been a big Air Max 90
I
guy in
love
the
Air
past.
Max 90s. I also don't like that all black leather Air Max 90.
I had a pair of those in college.
I've never liked that shoe. To me, that was like,
The referee shoe.
yeah, it's
Damn.
like,
Okay.
or like kind of like a nurse's sort of shoe, you know,
All right.
McDonald's.
If it saves me at all, when I had a pair in college, I flipped the laces and put some white Asics laces in them from a Ronnie 5
Yeah.
release at the time.
Worse.
To me, that shoe, they're just like the triple black leather Reebok Classics,
Okay.
almost like in the same vein. So
Yeah.
I never liked that shoe, but to see the storytelling behind it,
Yeah.
kind of cool. But I just don't know if Air Max 90 right now is the silhouette to launch something. Like, I feel like a lot of people have really high hopes and big expectations for this Slawn collab, and I want to see it do well
Mhm.
because I want there to be new, exciting partners within
Yes.
Nike, and I feel like he's one of those people who's going to be able to step into that space, and we're going to have exciting things in sneakers with
Yeah.
that. Like, we need new Sean Weatherspoons, etc., out here to.
Yeah, what? He's been in Japan. I wonder what.
But
he's
we
cooking
just
up.
need like that energy again of like when that
Totally.
Air Max came out, and I feel like maybe Slawn's someone who can do that, but I just don't know if right now if the 90 is going to be the silhouette that's going to make everyone run to.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that. I agree with you about the shoes arriving stripped of their context.
Yeah.
It's something we talk about a lot. And like, even I can lament that the project isn't presented in the right way, even though maybe I'm being hypocritical because I was party to it and I was the
Yeah.
one who
Let me
broke
ask
this
you.
news.
Let me ask you about this. Sorry to interrupt.
No. I'm the one who does it the most. So look, if
What do
anybody
you
has
What do
lessons-
you love? What do you like leaking stuff?
Yeah.
What
I'm trying
what,
to serve the audience,
So
baby.
so you look at it as
Determine what's newsworthy and make it public.
and basically how do you liken it as kind of like I don't want to give you that much credit, but like a Woj bomb or a Shams.
Sure. Yeah.
And how important do you think?
Look, I'm not. You said it, not me. I don't think you know,
Right.
and there are people in sneaker leaking who, and I've said this on here
Mhm.
before, who do way more than I. You know, Brandonian's great. Sneakerhead Z is great. Soul Retriever has the scoops. It's not just me, or I'm not here to say I'm the chief sneaker leaker guy.
It's funny because I used to do that for like magazine covers
What
back
do you
in the
mean?
day. There was a newsstand in the city that got magazine covers
Early.
Physical magazines.
2 or 3 days early,
Mhm.
and I would tweet them.
So nobody else knew who was going to be on the cover of XXL, but you would hit the newsstand early
Yes,
and let the public know.
and I wasn't doing it to be I wasn't doing it to be like, I guess, to be honest, there's no defending it. It's probably some sort of clout to be first on
Are you
it.
talking about for you or for me?
Hold on.
Because we get paid to do this.
No, in general, I
In
feel
general,
like in
I'm
general.
talking about it. And I remember I used to do it, and there was this newsstand that always had them early. And
You were the only one who knew about it.
then I got like pushed back once, and I think I stopped doing it. It's far different than what you're doing, but I do remember being like, oh, no one else has seen this yet.
Yeah.
There's like
It's
a
news.
rush.
It's news.
How much behind the scenes do you get flack from the brands doing that?
I do think I get some flack, but I think that probably most of the flack or most of the negative response at the brands is something I don't see because the people who feel that way about that aspect of my work are usually not going to communicate those things to me. I mean, I've definitely heard people say that other people are saying that about us leaking stuff, or maybe me leaking stuff specifically.
Yep.
But I think, and I understand if the collaborator or the brand doesn't necessarily share this viewpoint, but I think that if there's anything that they want to complain about, it's whatever on their side is causing the leaks.
Sure.
Like, you can't really blame, and of course this is a very biased position because I'm defending my actual work, but like, you can't really blame the people in the media for using this information and publishing it. You have to, if you want to blame anybody, you should blame the people who are leaking it,
like,
or the systems that let
like,
these pieces of data emerge.
Yeah. It's like if someone was in an apartment, this is a totally random situation, and they push someone and they go flying out the window, right? And that person splats dead in the middle of the road, right?
Mhm.
And then you run up and take a picture of it and then post it, and you're like, dude, you're such a jerk for posting that online. There may be some insensitivity to that, but the person who pushed the person through the window can't get upset at you for taking a picture, you know, of the dead body in the street when it was their fault that the person fell through the window.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like that's like, I mean, I know that's kind of maybe a weird metaphor, but I feel like that's kind of like what happens in the sneaker leaking.
There's pushback for sure, but also we always reach out. We always ask for comment. We always say, look, if this person wants to explain this project in depth, then like we'd love to do it that way. You know, we're not just out here throwing this stuff out
But
there.
I can understand why maybe, in like you said, like with stripped of the context, why someone like Slawn may potentially be, you know, upset, because it's like
1000%.
his product's out there now, and there probably was I can't imagine he just made a triple white Air Max 90 and just said, yeah, it just has my logo on it, and without thinking anything behind it.
I've said this on here before. Anybody who's involved in this product, whether it's the actual artist or the people who worked at Nike to put it together, is totally justified to be upset by the shoe coming out there without the proper context. And it's a thing they've been working on for 18 months or 2 years or 3 years, who knows how long. I totally get that. Also, one other thing to go back to your story, if I ever fall out of a window and I'm splattered on the street, somebody at Nike did it. Okay. It was not.
Okay.
You know,
For all those
sometimes
years?
like sometimes like the big leakers are like the ex-CIA. They're like, I didn't, you know, off myself. You know, so
well, you know, you'll see stuff like that. And the one I go back to this past year was that Joe Freshgoods from Prom to Paris 990 V6 collaboration that he had. They had this huge rollout, and it was the all red pair and then the blue pair. And I remember those shoes getting leaked super early, and they're like, this is the next Joe Freshgoods shoe, and it was just an all red 990 V6.
Yeah.
When there's like no context to it, and you're just like, that can't be a Joe Freshgoods shoe, you know, because it just looked like, on the surface, it would just look like kind of like a GR product. But then you saw the storytelling behind it, et cetera, everything that built out, and the people are like, I want the shoe, right?
very
like,
important.
yeah.
And I think the work we do here always circles back when we do have those full details to say, hey, this is why this shoe looks this way, or this is what this person thought about when they were putting it together. Some big news this past week, another piece of news that we broke. Stadium Goods is shutting down its New York City location on January 19th.
Yes.
There have been rumors about this for a while.
I feel like there was like a while ago that you brought it up. I didn't hear anything about it.
There was some sneaker Twitter accounts, I believe, that were like, hey, you know, there's word that Stadium Goods is shutting down. And I think you spoke to people there at the time.
That was not totally accurate at the time, but they did close the Chicago store in 2023. And Stadium Goods has been feeling the squeeze that I think comes partly from their ownership. Farfetch is really struggling, just barely got saved from bankruptcy. And also, we've talked about it before, how down sneaker resale is in general. 2023, a lot of layoffs at Stadium Goods. So it doesn't come as a huge surprise if you've been paying attention to what happens in sneaker
And
resale.
those stores have always kind of, Flight Club and Stadium Goods have always kind of, you know, banked on touristy sort of people being in town and wanting to come in and have the experience and picking something up. But I think we all kind of know that there's also comes a premium too with owning, you know, a store like that where the shoes are maybe a little more expensive than.
You got to pay rent on
Well,
hours.
the
or
other
then
thing
just
is-
going to a StockX or buying it off of someone on Instagram.
But even the other thing I would say with Stadium Goods and Flight Club is like you wouldn't see 20 Panda Dunks on the wall, right?
Differentiated from all
exactly.
the other shrink wrap stores.
A lot of stores that we even shoot sneaker shopping at, it's always like you'll see the Jordan 1 boom. You'll see tons of them at those. Like,
I remember like the episode where you shot with Triple H at that smaller sneaker resale store.
Exactly.
When you walked in and there wasn't like that much variety on the shelf.
Exactly. And Stadium Goods would like, it seemed like it would never kind of bend towards that. I do remember back to school last year. I think they did have the Pandas in the trophy case, which was like I was caught off guard.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, well, I was
That's
just like
funny.
I just wasn't used to it last
Yeah.
year. But
That's really funny.
but
the trophy
like
case.
like other stores, it wouldn't do where these Jordan 1s or these Dunks are moving, so let's flood it with. And the other thing about Stadium Goods and Flight Club, but let's talk about Stadium Goods, is like they would have tons of pairs of silhouettes, like bulk pairs of stuff that like
In the basement, in the stock room.
yeah, and like the allocation was so heavy.
This is an interesting one
Where a
too
lot of-
because you've spent so much time at Stadium Goods. Welty and I pass through there from time to time, but
I feel
But
like
like
actually,
a lot of times when even a celebrity's shopping, they're like, want this, and it's like they have one pair of it in other stores.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stadium Goods has the stock
Stadium
ready to
Goods
go. Yeah.
has always had like a bunch, but yeah,
I mean, I don't live in New York City, but like being in New York City, I just felt like you went to those stores once in a while when like your friends were in town because they want to see Stadium Goods or they want to see.
They want to understand
Thank
what
you
you
for
do.
saying that.
Yes, and you
It
bring
was
them
very
this-
much you're doing
Mom,
the tours
here's-
around. You're doing
yeah.
the tours around Soho. You have a friend, and you're like, "Oh, let's go into. It's going to kill some time. Let's go into Flight Club. Let's go into Stadium Goods." But the reality of like you actually wanting to buy a pair, and there's no shots at those stores, but do you wanting to go buy a pair of sneakers in New York City? I don't feel like me or you would ever actually go into
Correct.
Flight Club and pick a pair of shoes off the shelf and purchase it.
here's what I would say. Agree 95% with that, but not even to buy a pair of shoes. When you walked in Stadium Goods and you experienced it for the first time, that store, big, long,
Mhm.
Yeah.
bright, that store turned into a, like you said, tourist attraction.
Yes.
And it just became like a destination of a store. It was so massive,
Mhm.
so bright, high ceilings. Obviously, Flight Club always, but
Flight Club being the OG, Stadium Goods being, I think, an answer that aspired to be more high end or more premium.
and for me personally, it's associated with sneaker shopping. Even when you tweeted the link to your story about it, I got added a bunch like where you get a sneaker shop now. I think I shot 82 episodes of sneaker shopping
Wow.
there, and some of like classics as
Like,
recent.
like our episode.
Yeah, exactly.
The first thing that
But
comes to mind when you think classic.
recent as Tom Hardy and like all the way back Chris Rock, just so many Will Smith and Martin,
Yep.
so many classic ones there, and definitely like I was just to peel back the curtain. We were on set for a new one that's going to come out soon at Stadium Goods, and it kind of felt like, oh, this one is going to be the last one. They said they're going to set up an outpost. Let's see how that happens,
Yeah.
or a new retail experience. But like, it definitely felt like, damn, such an end of an era. Like,
Yes.
like, sure, the inventory changed, but I knew that store
You got a key?
back in back in my hand.
Yeah.
But
You feel a W-2 there?
definitely an end of an era. But great store. I think we'll discuss like that topic like in
Yeah.
general.
I think it has bigger ramifications.
Yeah.
Well, how much do you think that and obviously we don't have the answers, right? But how much do you think that that's maybe a telltale signal for the smaller shops out there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's different because Stadium Goods' overhead is so much higher with
No,
that
for sure.
gigantic space right there in Soho. But
Well,
I
also-
do think it signals if Stadium Goods with that kind of backing of Farfetch and
Yeah.
now Coupon Group, or I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the South Korean
Yeah.
e-commerce
Yeah.
company that's at the top of it. Like, if they can't pay rent with the margins on consignment sneakers, who can?
Well, also Legacy, our friend Puneet,
Yeah.
his store recently closed too.
Oh,
and-
did
Okay,
it?
right there on 34th Street.
Yep.
One thing I want to mention too, Stadium Goods' position on this, and we talked to them about it, is that they're not totally getting rid of retail.
Right.
They are moving to consolidate retail to their drop-off center, which is around the corner on Broadway. So they're not turning their back on it, but also the online business, the digital business for Stadium Goods makes up the lion's share of their revenue. So physical retail isn't that important when it comes to the whole big picture for them.
And I know sneaker resale shop owners had told us in the past that essentially their business model is because you see a lot of those shops in malls nowadays where like a kid would go to the Foot Locker and want a pair of Yeezys or want the Jordan that came out, right? And then the shoes sold out because
Yep.
it's sold out on
Yep.
release date. And as they're leaving, they would be like, "Hey, Mom, I really want the Yeezys." So they would stop at the resale shop and get head cracked for those.
Yeah.
But in today's era, where like shoes don't even sell out,
Yeah,
it's
way
like
fewer.
you don't need to go spend an extra $100 at the resale shop, or you can just go buy it at Foot Locker.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to say, just on the note of Joe calling this the end of an era in a way, store opened in 2015, closing this January. It also feels like the end of a very specific era for this hyper-local corridor of Mercer being right around the corner and Stadium Goods being right there. And just that exact pinpoint of sneaker culture that was a real thing in the 2010s is just not there anymore.
Yeah.
Everything is over in Nolita, or just not that much of a physical thing in New York anymore. But I just remember it felt so intentional when Stadium Goods opened their doors right around the corner from Mercer, and you could go. I think I did this. I think when I bought the Off-White Jordan 1s at 21 Mercer, I walked right around the corner and dropped them off
Really?
at Stadium
Same,
Goods.
I
didn't know that.
And even like
Presto.
V-Files was right there. Not as much of a
I
sneaker
remember
thing, not a sneaker
V-Files.
thing at all, but
Yeah.
just that energy right there in
Palace.
Soho.
That little
yeah,
hub.
Palace is it just
Palace still there, yeah.
yeah, definitely. I'm interested to see what that means for the bigger scene.
Yeah, definitely gonna miss that store. We'll see. We'll see what the next iteration is of it.
Yeah.
Got to get to what we're wearing on feet. You go first. This time.
Okay. This is the End Adidas Tobacco, or the Backies, as Welty christened them back in the day, and Jim Jones echoed that. That's a little FSR deep cut for you. This is from that fishing pack from last year. Is that right, Welty?
Yep.
My Instagram has been giving me a lot of fishing content
Really?
recently. I feel like they want me out there in the great outdoors. I would be down if we want to do a fishing trip as a group.
Would you do some
Not doing
noodling?
that. I couldn't last fishing.
What is that?
The catfish.
Oh, I need more context.
Like
what?
You can go to like a river. They typically, I guess, do it in the south, but like they set up like a little trap, and you'll put your arm in, and the catfish will like bite your arm up to here, and you like pull it out like one armed.
Let me know. How
I'm
that
deep
is.
throating a catfish.
No, the
No,
catfish
they're
is deep throating
your arm.
your arm.
Let me know how that goes.
I know you always have the deep throat sneaker leak on your mind.
Hey, it's all connected.
Yeah,
It's all connected. Very good.
But yeah,
very
but
good. I
just
got you.
Get on your arm and you yank it out.
Deep cut, deep throat. Joe, what are you wearing?
Atmos Tokyo 1906s. I looked them up. They said the protection pack.
Well, it's like the similar
Okay.
design language.
Yeah. Shouts to my good friends at Atmos Tokyo.
You're big in
Exclusive?
New Balance Japan now,
Yeah,
Joe.
big
little
in
bit.
Japan.
A little bit. Shouts to
You
my
gonna be out in
guys.
Tokyo anytime soon?
I don't think so.
All right.
No.
Welty, what do you have on feet?
Also doing 1906. These are from the people at the
High
basement.
five. Remember we
High
did that
foot.
once?
It's a high foot.
People
That's
hate
a
it,
Teenage
remember?
Mutant Ninja Turtles thing. People hated it?
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah.
What
Really?
are we gonna do?
No, I guess these are basement approved. So
Sorry, I was
What does that mean?
no, it's their like hashtag basement
Oh,
approved. Yep.
sorry.
very good.
Okay,
Are we back on a list this week?
Yeah.
we are back on our list because
Who
this is
doesn't
gonna,
love a list?
this is gonna come out when
He's making a
people love
list.
lists.
He's
I don't always
checking
love
it
a list,
twice.
but the people love the list. I like leaking.
A little bit. We could have ran this when like the Black Cements came out,
Okay.
but another release that's fresh in the news:
Mm-hmm.
Black Cat Jordan 3s.
Just came out this past weekend.
And what better week, kind of, than to rank the best Jordan 3s of all time? We did this list on the site.
Yep.
Was there a lot of chatter back and forth?
So it was interesting to do because obviously Air Jordan 3 just one of the best sneakers of all time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's a shoe that they've done not a trillion colorways in, but there's a lot of good Air Jordan 3s as well. But there's also a lot of, and this is where we had put parameters on lists because you always need parameters for lists.
Mm-hmm. Criteria, right?
Even if people don't read them.
It had to be shoes that actually came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Always important.
when we were putting it, we're like, hey, should the Khaled 3s be on the list? Khaled 3s never came out.
Okay.
And there was a typo on them.
Soulfly 3s never came out.
That kind of barely came out,
I think
right?
one person won like
What?
a lottery for the shoe. But
Doesn't quite count.
another shoe that kind of came out that Brendan Dunne got his hands on back in the Dizzy.
Oh, wow, Dizzy.
Do you
Okay.
know?
You know what
I
it
know.
is.
I know, yeah.
No.
Do you see? We're throwing our O's up, Joe.
Oregon.
Yep, pit crew.
Do you still have those?
No, I sold them
Okay.
quickly.
It's a good one.
Had bills to pay.
It's a good
How
one.
much do you regret selling them back then? I know you can't
Yeah.
really say it because if obviously you had bills to pay back then, it doesn't really
No,
matter. If you,
I actually didn't have pressing financial
Oh.
Okay.
needs, but Yeah, I wish I still had the Pit Crew 3s.
So you sold them for a fraction of what they were potentially worth, say 5 years down the road.
Listen, man, do you want Tinker to never talk to me
Yeah,
again?
It's over. Green bubbles from here on out.
It was interesting that we had found out, it interviewed Dennis Dixon,
Mhm.
a former Oregon quarterback, and he had said that Tinker putting the Duckman on the back of the Air Jordans pissed Michael Jordan off.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's Michael Jordan. So you can't, like, the logo is Michael
Right,
Jordan.
his likeness.
It's
his
literally
silhouette,
him.
Yeah.
And you can't just
Change
change
it?
how, you can't put a Santa hat on him and put it on the back of the shoes and not tell him that. I feel like if someone did that to you, if there was a Joe La Puma product out there
Forget it.
and they were altering it, you would
Screaming?
you'd be
Randy
barking.
Henderson?
Your voice would
Cease
sound
and
worse
desist?
after
Yes.
the barking than it does now.
Not just barking. A voice note or just barking.
Yeah, he got upset at Tinker for
Interesting. It's an interesting story.
Okay, should we get to this list?
Yes.
Our best Air Jordan 3s of all time. As always, let us know in the comments where you disagree, where you would re-rank them, things like that. We have a 15 list here.
Yes.
the number 15 was the most controversial.
I like this one a lot.
Oh,
Well, so I like this one.
It's cool.
I guess it's also a total JLP homer
Mm-hmm.
pick. Like, Vogue, Jordan 3,
Yeah.
black. Bought it for my sister for Christmas
Didn't
one
you
day.
have her on sneaker shopping too?
Huh?
Didn't you have her on sneaker shopping? Or am I
No, but
tripping?
didn't Nikki and Bella buy these?
I thought you had the shoe. I thought you had.
On a win tour?
Yeah.
No, no,
Oh.
no.
No. We were trying to, but
Yeah.
I think Nikki Bella may have
Okay.
bought these.
Who's Nikki Bella? That's got to be a wrestler.
WWE legend.
Yeah.
I love these shoes.
Vogue Air Jordan 3s.
What was so controversial about them?
Some people just didn't like that shoe, and
This
then
guy?
as you know, when someone opens a list on the internet, it's the first shoe they see, and if the first shoe they see, if people say that's some BS, it starts you off on a negative foot. So I feel like us putting the Vogue Air Jordan 3s as number 15.
Do you like it?
I like the
Me
shoe.
too.
I
And
think the justification too is that it stands out. It does something different to a Jordan 3. It's a different type of partner. It's unexpected. Jordan 3 is a sacred silhouette, and it's easy to mess the shoe up and go too far. I think this shoe goes pretty far, but it still looks pretty tasteful.
Wasn't Anna also in the marketing material?
Yeah.
Well, the thing was the sign off, right?
it was the AWOK,
Yeah.
which is
Dope.
such a super nerdy
That's dope.
thing,
very
but
niche publishing
though.
lore, and you transfer
think
it
that
over
that's-
to a sneaker.
to me that's so cool.
Yeah.
Agree.
To see and obviously I'm not the person to talk on it, but to see a collaboration, targeted for the female consumer,
Yeah.
and having it just be like an icon like
Yeah.
that, and putting their own
All the way at the top.
and just putting their own touch to it instead of just saying, hey, we're gonna do a pink shoe.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool, and it was a shoe that I felt like there's the chenille fabric on it, which is, to me is cool that you use that, but it's like also something that guys can wear as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked, but I don't know.
Did this bump anyone that was close?
I actually don't remember.
Okay.
Well, I feel like there was some discussion between this and the Nina Chanel.
Wait,
Air
Nina
Jordan-
Chanel's not on this list?
Was that a mistake?
I think so. I have to look
I
a
think we
little
need
close.
more time for the Nina Chanel Jordan 3 to marinate.
Okay.
And I feel like that shoe was so up and down when it came out last year. People loved the first photos, but then they saw it in person and it didn't look as exciting.
Let me comb through this list as we're going.
That shoe, I felt like the thing that was tough about that shoe is that it was like when it first came out,
Nina Chanel Jordan 3.
yes, there was some expectation that like, wow, this could be sneaker of the year, right? Because it's like the past,
People were saying that.
but the past expectation of Air Jordan 3s as a whole. If you got an Air Jordan 3 collaboration in
Yeah.
the past, a la
Almanier.
Amamanier, or just doing a limited Air Jordan 3 a la, Russell Westbrook, Oregon, Soulfly, etc., it was instantly going to be this level of shoe
Yeah.
in the marketplace. But then last year, everything just changed in sneakers, right? So it was like, has all the earmarks that it's going to be like a $900 sneaker, the most hyped shoe of the year.
But
Everyone's
it's
going to
not
love
as
it.
automatic as it used to be.
And then for whatever happened, that just didn't happen. And I feel like, not like I had any, like, took personal points away from this shoe, but it just felt like it kind of,
Yeah.
it got lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Yeah. Agree.
14, if we want to call it an editorial peg.
Yeah.
Black Cat Air Jordan 3.
The ones that just came out as a retro.
And then this on the list, this was before they came out. Year
Yeah.
release 2007. Not my favorite. Everyone always says Black Cats, I'm sure. How many pairs? Big JLP shoe? It's not, because I don't like the patent leather strip. Ruins it for me.
Welty, You wrote about the sneaker on the website, and you wrote that on their release day, people were walking around the mall with the
Yes.
Black Hat Jordan 3 on one foot and the Pure Money all white Jordan
Yes.
3 on the other foot. That's a real thing that you remember?
I remember people talking about that on Nike Talk, where it was like, it was because going to the mall on release day for sneakers was it was a cool moment. Everyone
It was
wanted
a
to-
fun time.
Everyone wanted to flex that they had the shoe, and people definitely wore one of each.
I want somebody to source a photo. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, and you have a photo of you or someone else in these Jordan 3s, Black Cat on one foot and Pure Money on the other foot, I feel like can we offer a reward or something? Can we give
Yeah.
them a gift card? To...
And at the time, I remember thinking that Pure Money was cooler than Black Cat,
Yeah.
just because it was like triple white, like
Yeah.
it was super like clean and cool. But I feel like the lore of Black Cat, just in general,
Tied to Michael Jordan, a little bit more storytelling to it.
and just as big as the Black Cat 4 has gotten, that people want Black Cat things over triple white at this point.
And last episode we read some words on your blurb, and my voice is tough right now, but I don't know if you want to. You wrote this blurb. I don't know if you want to read what I just highlighted. But again, my
Okay.
voice. Hold on, my voice is
Oh, he wants me to.
my voice is suffering, so I can't talk as much as I would. But
he wants me to. He wants
Give
me
him
to.
the props, yeah.
Yes.
So he's not doing it for himself.
At the
it's
time,
my voice.
At the time, oh yeah, sure. At the time, maybe the Pure Money was slightly more popular, but as time has gone on, triple black Jordans have skyrocketed in popularity. You can thank JLP for that. Black Cat 3s aren't as good as the 4s, mainly because the patent leather on them doesn't look as smooth.
Thank you. I would have read it, but the voice. Thank you.
Get this man some
You-
echinacea.
I feel like I could have just stopped that sentence at "You can thank JLP for that." That's all you. That's all you wanted.
That's all he
I
wanted
didn't
to
need
hear.
to read the rest of it.
Okay, one thing about this, though, we're not putting this in the upper echelon of Air Jordan 3s.
No.
No, but I feel like if you don't have the Black Cat 3s on the list, people are gonna be like, "Really? No Black Cats?"
But this isn't a classic by any sense of the word.
Also, we're recording this before they actually drop.
Yep, just the weekend before.
Are we going to be able to go to JD?
Yeah,
3
these will
days
be
later,
everywhere.
and
These
I
will
think
be
so.
everywhere. Yeah.
Me too.
Next up on the list, Air Jordan 3 JTH. I didn't really love.
Oh, you were
this.
such a JT hater, and I don't like that. I do not like that.
That's your friend.
I don't. I really still do not understand your hate for this, other than you just having a
Talk to
personal
him.
vendetta.
I don't have a
against-
personal
Talk to him.
vendetta.
Well, it's your personal opinion.
Yes.
And it's not just the widely shared, panning of this person, but you personally do not like Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, I don't think that Justin Timberlake's cool. I don't want to. I don't want to go over retread familiar territory. It's
You're
just
all
not.
I ever wanted.
I don't even-
I will admit, and again, I hope we're not regurgitating too much because I feel like we had this conversation on here. But I will admit that he has more legitimate sneaker history than I ever realized after some of Joe's interviews with him. Or did you just have him the one time on Sneaker Shopping?
yeah, just one.
And you had
Okay.
like a 20-minute episode with him where he
Dude,
was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
One of
and
my favorite
I'll say this
episodes of
too.
all time.
I'll say this too, just to be mea culpa. Justin Timberlake was into sneakers before I was, for sure.
Oh, reversed it. On
And I
himself,
think-
he
Yeah,
reversed
I'll
it.
be, you know,
I think on the
Hand
so it's
up.
funny when we had originally talked
There it
about
is.
this, it was on the episode where it was Trinidad James' first appearance on Full Size Run.
how
not
do you remember these things?
okay,
He's
not as a host,
Co-host, but a guest.
but a guest. And Brendan said, "Oh, maybe I don't want to hear a story about how maybe he wore a pair of Michigan Dunks back in the day, and now all of a sudden he's a sneakerhead."
Okay, but
I
on
was wrong.
sneaker shopping, he
I was
had-
wrong. I was wrong.
And
And-
these the Super Bowl moment.
That Super Bowl
The
moment,
Super
that's
Bowl
like
moment I didn't enjoy.
Okay,
that's like an actual huge mainstream sneaker moment.
The rollout just felt silly.
How?
There were a bunch of typos in the sneakers app copy. if
That's
I
like the
remember correctly.
biggest-
oh God, what a
The fact
that
that
has
look,
nothing to do with him.
the fact that
Okay. Look, just
Hold on.
celebrate the shoe.
You guys, I'm asking you guys, was that one of the first Super Bowl like tied to a drop
Yes. Yeah,
moments?
Yeah.
yeah.
The first?
I can't remember if it
I
was the
either.
first.
I
But
do think it was the
it was
first.
early on sneaker brands really, Nike specifically,
Yeah.
let's just say it, leaning into the Super Bowl like
which
that.
they've done since then every single year, right?
And so you have obviously Justin Timberlake had that history with the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he had the
Janet
history.
Jackson.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the
The head
past.
slip.
Yes, in the past, he makes a comeback to the Super Bowl, so
Mhm.
everyone's looking forward to, or just in general curious about what the performance is going to be
Not me.
because It was it was actually an infamous moment,
He
right?
was cooking
Correct
mini
use of
wieners
the
at
word.
the halftime show.
He comes out in these Air Jordan 3s with the I think the pair that on the Super Bowl he had the 3M
Okay.
swoosh on them. It's a collaboration with Tinker Hatfield that didn't he talk about on the sneaker shopping?
Yeah, and no wonder. Another reason why.
What? Are you mad at Justin Timberlake
Another
because
Because he's better friends with Tinker Hatfield than I'll ever
Yeah.
be.
Tinker's,
Devastating stuff.
another Tinker. Maybe it got
he's,
back to Tinker.
because he's a blonde guy in sneakers that has a better
Ooh, hate to
relationship
see it.
with Tinker.
Hate
Like
to
there only
see
could be
it.
one of us in the game.
Painful.
The shoes drop on sneakers.
We could go on forever.
I don't always think, and this is not a Justin Timberlake note, I don't always think that the approach of going back and rehashing the shoe based on the sketch that never came out is a good idea. And that's the background on this, is that it has the big swoosh on it because there was some original version of the Jordan 3 that Tinker had drawn that had a swoosh on it, and then they decided not to use a swoosh, which ultimately was the right decision. So I think that's part of why I don't like the sneakers, because it doesn't look like a Jordan 3 should look to me, because it has a big old swoosh hanging off the side.
Look, I think that the rest of the JTH stuff
Mm-hmm.
stinks.
Wow.
Like the rest of the pairs that came out
Mhm.
subsequently.
Mhm.
Like I probably should like those Man in the Woods
I like them.
Air Jordan 3s
Why?
just because
Just think
Why?
you put a fishing vest on,
yeah,
the
just 'cause
Bass Pro
it's just-
Shops
it
hat
it
with
fits,
them.
It just fits me, right?
Yes, does.
Come
on.
But I
I
don't.
don't know. I can't
Have
remember
the
the last
cat-
time you were in the woods.
Have the catfish deep
friggin'
throating the
over
arm.
over.
All right, I wasn't sure if you were cosplaying it like Justin Timberlake.
Nope, I was in New Hampshire, man,
Real blue collar stuff.
Shoot-
I grew up in the woods, man.
shooting guns. But I didn't care about any of the subsequent ones. But
Okay, so it's a big important shoe. Classic, total, awesome Air Jordan 3. Justin
Convinced 'em.
Timberlake's amazing.
We got them.
Air
Number
Jordan 3
12.
Black History Month is up next.
these shoes to me are really cool.
Where the black cat threes suffer from like the patent leather.
Yeah.
I think this work. I don't know if this is shiny leather
Yeah.
or actual patent leather, but if we want to get very nerdy about it, you know why I like how these look
Mhm.
here? The reverse stitching,
Yeah, I think
Contrast stitching.
contrast stitching. The contrast stitching to me is what makes this shoe.
Yeah.
to me, I remember when that shoe came out, I was working at Foot Locker, they were super limited. And it was like earlier on in when Nike was doing the Black History Month stuff. And I know we had, talks about it on Full Size Run with our friend Trinidad once again. And he was like, all the Black History Month themes just start to get tired, just slap like Kente print on it. And then it just feels lazy. This shoe, there feels like there's like a lot of thoughtful like design elements, like actually flipping the cement print on it to tell a story.
Yeah.
And just having it be like the Black Air, like a Black Air Jordan 3 is going to look good
Yep.
regardless. And just putting that gold stitching on it, making it super limited and flipping the cement print to me is it just feels like it's a special shoe.
Yeah, and it also arrived at a time, I'm looking at the list here, 2011, when I feel like it was still early on and really special Air Jordan 3s. There weren't a lot of collaborations for the shoe. There were new Retro Plus colorways, but there weren't that many, I don't know, special editions or ones that really had a backstory to them.
And this came out right in the middle of that era of when Nike basketball, Air Jordan Retro just went bananas.
Yeah.
So like every release that came out, people were like, what's the next one? What's the next one?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the next one? And this is one of those ones that it came out, but it wasn't this big, massive release, all of like Wolf Gray 5s, like,
Wow, Wolf Gray 5s takes me back.
it wasn't a big mass market shoe like that. It was like you kind of actually had to go out of your way to get these.
You feel like this shoe arrived as Jordans were really blowing up as retros? I feel like it was right before.
2011, that's like right in the middle of it.
I guess so. I guess so. Okay, fair enough. I'm wrong again. Next shoe, the Air Jordan 3 Unk. Oh, UNC. I'm sorry.
This is a one that I feel like I'm going to have to defer a little bit on.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the original UNC PE Air Jordan
Yes.
3s being massive.
Agreed.
And that was that era of like all those PE Air Jordans.
Unattainable grails. like-
Marquette,
yes.
The
George-
biggest flex there was.
Michigan-
having it.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Oregon. I had a pair.
And then this was
Flex.
one of the first PE Air Jordans that had, as Brendan labeled, poverty PEs.
Mhm. Where Jordan Brand takes an exclusive shoe and basically makes that same shoe for the masses without the logos on it that made it
Yeah.
special for the school or the person that they were originally designed for.
Yeah. in this one, you know, I said, actually I wrote the blurb on it. You had to spend like $20,000 essentially for a lot of the at that, you know, the peak
Yeah.
where it was like
Yeah.
offset, etc., was going to like trying to outflex each other.
For a real legit UNC Jordan 3.
Yeah, but this came out 2020. People kind of went nuts for them.
Yeah.
The shoe actually held its value,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually has that connection to Michael Jordan.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
So
It has an edge that way, UNC color,
Yeah.
light blue. We have an original blue Jordan 3, true blue 3s, but I feel like that doesn't mean that we can't celebrate other blue Jordan 3s if there aren't other good ones. And I think this is one of those ones that looks like it could have been an OG. This could have released in 88 and it would have fit right in with the
Yeah.
line. Especially since the Jordan 1, not that many models before it, not that many years before it, had
Had the
a UNC
colorway.
type
Yeah.
colorway. So it just makes total sense, like Welty said. Baby
Yeah.
blue, white, clean shoe. Next up on our list, this is the best Jordan 3s of all time, the Air Jordan 3 Soul.
So good.
this shoe
So
is
good.
awesome.
It's so good.
This shoe is awesome.
Korea flavored.
Super limited, right?
And they just
This is one of those ones that I feel like it almost, well, I guess it released way more than a Pit Crew Jordan 3 or a,
But this was
So good.
almost a PE, but not really. And also, they didn't make them in bigger sizes as well. I know PJ Tucker has said multiple times that like he can't find them in his size because I guess they didn't make them in that like above a 12. But it's just thoughtful. It was released in time for the Winter Olympics in Korea, and it looks like a Korean flag themed
Yes.
shoe.
Yeah.
Tongue.
But
green
also
flag on there.
But also, yeah, I'm saying, but the other tongue has the actual flag on
Yeah.
it, which you didn't really, at this point, especially 2018, you didn't really see that
Yeah.
in a actually released shoe.
But even like the heel tab, subtle detail, again, sets it off perfectly.
I think it's also cool because this actually came from a Korean employee at Jordan Brand, Dan Sun-woo. I think he runs or is part of the leadership running Nike Kobe Retros at Nike now. So just whenever it comes from somebody who's legitimately of that culture, it means a little bit more. They released them in South Korea, a country that doesn't have a lot of big exclusive releases like that. So I think that helped galvanize
Although we have seen
collectors there.
more in like recent
For sure,
time where
for
it's
sure.
like, yeah.
And I also think it's cool because it's kind of, I guess this isn't in the same way that I just said about the last shoe where I was like, oh, it could have been an OG. This doesn't really fit that same description because it's got the red and the blue, and those didn't mix that often in OG Jordan colorways, but it does feel kind of like the middle point perfectly between the fire red and the true blue,
Good point.
right on the Korean flag.
Good point. It's those little tweaks that,
Yeah.
to me, sometimes a shoe that like you look at this list and say you go into it like a blind ranking, like it's those little tweaks that you just described.
And over the
Right in the
past,
middle.
obviously, a lot of countries in Asia, there's a huge sneakerhead audience that comes from it, and we've been able to travel to many different countries in Asia and just see like the love that they have for the sneaker scene. But like Nike will give like maybe once in a while give a country a shoe, like a Philippines Air Force One or like shoes they've done with Japan, and it's just like to get that Korea shoe, you see like the appreciation for like the sneakerheads who come from those places and how much that shoe just gets like vaunted up in sneaker lore.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's cool you mentioned the 2018 launch. That connects back to 30th anniversary of 88 when the Jordan 3 first emerged. So there's all these little details to it that help it, but it doesn't really need those details. It stands on its own. Also, there might be another version of these coming, but we'll talk about that later.
Yep.
Next.
Number 9, why isn't it the black one? Number 9, J Balvin Air Jordan 3.
because the white one is the one that set it off.
Okay. Can you say it's because it came first? Do you think
Well,
the white
I
one's,
think-
do you
I think that
the
the
white
white-
one's way better than the
I feel
black?
like
I think the black Balvin 3 is better than
Me
the
too.
white.
Well, here's the thing though,
Me
is that
too.
I feel like the white one, when it came first, that was the one that made the bigger splash. Just because the shoe itself,
Yeah, it wasn't a sequel. The sequel shoe always suffers if it has the
Yeah,
same.
we're like
equation
that
to it.
black one came first. I think
Yeah.
that one is number 9.
yeah.
But I think we're also, as we do sometimes, collating these into one project, saying
Yeah.
Balvin's work on the Jordan 3 is
Yeah.
the 9th best entry in the
Yeah, we put
Jordan 3
years
catalog.
released 2023, 2024. So we are putting both into the equation. But me personally, it's not that I just like the white one more, but the white one felt like a bigger deal than
Yeah.
the black shoe.
I've been talking about it for the past few episodes, how like don't wear that many Jordans or even
Yep.
but when that black one showed up, I was super excited.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful shoe to me, right up my alley.
This is
Yeah.
also a cool bounce back in the Balvin arc because
Because of the
the
two.
Jordan 1 was a big deal. The 2, people just didn't care
Not a
about it
good
that
shoe.
much. Too ambitious. LEDs
Too
on the
too
tongue.
ambitious.
Big
too
Dave
expensive.
Matthews shoe.
That probably hurt its reputation more than
He
anything.
had the match and fit with that a few times.
He has the one that
Poor
lights
Dave.
up too.
Poor Dave. Balvin 3 gets him back on the right track.
Definitely solid.
He's
Very
obviously
solid.
headed in a very linear direction. We'll see if there's a J Balvin Jordan 4 in the future. But
Yep.
one of the collab pairs that means a lot, and the Jordan 3 is still a somewhat protected silhouette, a shoe that you don't see a lot of collabs on. And
But just seeing the bright colors on it, seeing his logo on the heel.
yeah,
Khaled at the golf course.
It's just, there was so much going for that shoe. And it just, even if you're not like a fan of J Balvin's music, you can just look at that and be like, these look awesome. So,
Number 8.
see, this is where
Big JLP
hold on,
shoe.
hold on. This is where I just want to say,
Oh.
we were talking about before, and we're like, why didn't this shoe make the list, or why didn't this shoe make the list? I feel like the tough part is with Air Jordan 3s.
okay.
There's just so many like elite Air Jordan 3s.
Yeah.
And I feel like once we get to this junction of the list,
Everything changes.
no, all the other shoes that you
You're
are
running
mad
downhill.
that didn't make the list, they aren't even gonna break.
They can't compare to this stuff.
No, they can't compare to it. Like maybe you can argue with us that say, hey, this should have been on instead of UNC Jordan 3s or Black Cats, etc.
Mhm.
But I feel like once we get to this part of the list, there's very few shoes that are taking out the stuff that's
We'll
on
see.
here right now.
Okay.
We'll see.
What's number 8?
Dorenbecker Jordan 3s.
Awesome sneaker.
Home run. Home run. Just looking at it on this screen.
And this is back when
So good.
when Dorenbecker shoes were like one of the biggest things in sneaker space, and I feel like it hasn't been
Every
like that.
year is something you look forward
I
to.
feel like it hasn't been like that in a while, and it's not to say that the Dorenbecker project isn't worth celebrating because it's about children, and I don't want that to get lost
yeah.
in the mix that we're trying to cure children's cancers through these shoes and
Yeah.
giving children the chance to.
Definitely.
Yeah, through the OHSU
Yeah.
hospital there in Oregon.
So wait, they released in 2010 and then 3 years later?
This is one of the rare Dorenbeckers that's retroed, which I think
Yeah.
speaks to how special it is.
Yeah,
This was a shoe that every time I put it on felt like Superman.
yeah.
Just like, oh, I want to flex.
What about the Superman
Yeah.
Dorenbecker
I
4?
don't
The
have
Jordan
those.
4
I don't
Dorenbecker is
have
the real
those.
Superman shoe.
I know,
I'm
but-
mad you beat me to the punch.
Yeah, sorry, but every time I was like, there's an event. Every time lacing these up felt like, oh, doing it to him.
Also, the Dorenbecker project at its best lets sneakers that aren't necessarily supposed to be bold or always allowed to be bold, be bold.
Yes.
You be cartoony, be
Yes.
childish, have this sense of levity to them, and that's one of the cool things about this Jordan 3. Even though it's got the Jordan DNA in there, it's a red based shoe. This was before Jordan really started splashing red into the Jordan 3, but it still is Jordan enough.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where maybe people lost a little bit of interest in it, where it's like some of these shoes are, like you said, it has that childish fun to it, but it wasn't overbearing.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it feels like right now it's just like the shoes are just like children's,
Over the
like
top.
children's toys.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I really can't like.
That's what happens when you have to one up yourself every year, and you've been doing the Dorenbecker project for.
But to be fair, the one that started it all off, the Air Jordan 1 Dorenbecker, is probably one of like the most, I don't want to say childish, but like the one
out
of, like,
there.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the palm trees, or am I thinking?
Yes, the
yeah.
patent leather high top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absurd shoe in a good way.
Yeah, for
Bold
sure.
shoe.
Yeah.
Beautiful shoe. Next on the list, Ama Manier Air Jordan 3. And
Sneaker of the year when we had it
Yes.
out,
Yes.
Yeah, a sneaker that still stands up. Those quilted materials, the
Elevated.
clean, calm colorway. A shoe that just people were excited to root for. The Ama Manier messaging around it, around black women, just the storytelling. That
Yes.
first moment when Ama Manier and Social Status had done plenty of Nike work and work with other sneaker brands before that, but this felt like the first one that really mattered and really announced their arrival as
Definitely.
big time collaborators.
Set everything off for the collaborations to come. Also, a shoe that we put at number 1. We didn't get that much pushback that we're used to.
No, I think that was
Yeah.
pretty unanimous, and I think it was cool to see that year, because I feel like in the past, to some degree, people didn't get upset with the sneaker of the year, but the sneaker of the year in the past was always like this super hype thing, where it's like, okay, of course that's the sneaker of the year.
Like what? I mean, we did Off-White Jordan 5s the year before. You mean that just being way more hype, or stuff like Chunky Dunky being near the top, or
Yeah,
Yeezy
like-
2s?
Yeah, where it felt like the stuff towards the discussion of sneaker of the year was always, they were like more hype manufactured
Okay.
products, Dior ones,
Yeah,
Chunky Dunky, Red Octobers, Off-White,
Okay.
Jordan 1s, etc., where it felt like this one at the time didn't really fit the mold of that
Yeah.
because Manir had been out and we obviously knew James and
Yep.
in the work we had done and championed him on the site. I mean, I ended up doing, I think, the exclusive interview on this. You can go watch it. There's like a 30-minute interview of me and
YouTube,
James
right?
on YouTube talking about this during the pandemic.
Yeah, I
But,
remember that.
yeah, it just felt like, wow, like, well, people want to talk about things that matter in the culture and the community and doesn't necessarily ride the hype wagon the whole way. This felt like it.
Yeah.
It felt like a moment where, like, okay, we're actually championing something that's cool and not just for the hype beast and the ripped skinny jeans and Supreme box logos.
Felt meaningful in a way that
Great
some
shoe.
sneakers don't. And I think that it's cool because this sneaker was just attainable enough. We always give the disclaimer of like, oh, we're not talking too much about the resale price, but we use it as a tiebreaker sometimes. But it's a shoe that's felt special, but also if you really wanted to get a pair, it wouldn't take that much either effort or money to get a pair. And it felt like the releases were relatively fair.
Yep.
I think back then it just did.
Well, they tried to do a
everything right.
fairness like project around it.
Yeah.
Gave
yeah.
women early access to the shoe.
Number 6 on our list of the best Air Jordan 3s of all time. Welty has a grin creeping across his
Controversial.
face, and I want to know why.
Controversial shoe.
Air Jordan 3 Mocha, why is this controversial?
Because I feel like there's like it's a great shoe
Mm-hmm.
with history, but it
Mhm.
also has like
Revisionist history?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't always viewed as the greatest shoe.
When
Not
it
that
first came out.
yeah.
Yeah, this sneaker first came out. It was one of those early Retro Plus colorways,
Yep.
2001, one of those early versions of Jordan Brand doing non-OG colorways on the Jordan 3. And
All the young sneakerheads don't know this out here.
Mhm.
If a Air Jordan came out in brown, that was like the biggest brick of all time back in the day.
automatically.
Yes.
So I remember something different. 2001 when these released, I specifically remember being at Roosevelt Field working this release. Big release.
Really?
I remember 5 or 6 of us got these Mochas in 2001. All went to Heartland mini golf that Saturday night, and like 3 of us wore them. It was a big release for us.
That's another thing that I need a photo of. I need photo evidence of this.
I
There
don't.
was a line for these?
It was so long ago. Here's what I would say. To be fair, I know the people who worked in the store at Finish Line. This was a big release for us. We all had them on hold. We all
I'm surprised to
unds
hear
them the
this.
night
There's also
of.
talk of the shoes going on sale back when they first came out too.
I feel like most people who I hear from who were really paying attention, and people who were around, please chime in the comments
Yep.
and let us know how these arrived wherever you were.
Yeah.
It was that the Jordan 3 Mocha was a sale shoe, or was a shoe that people didn't really care about until 5 or 6 years later when it was cool to have a crispy pair and you would go buy them on eBay
This just
for
seems like to
over the
me,
retail price.
and I don't even know if he has them, but it feels like the sort of shoe that Corgi went to Foot Action and bought like
Agree.
150 pairs all for $19.99.
So let me ask you. I remember it, at least the store I worked with, it being big, but it seems like the jury is like out on these a little bit.
Yeah.
But how did they end up number 6 in the room
Well,
with
look,
what we
I'm
put?
not saying that not because it didn't go on sale when it first came out that it doesn't totally say it wasn't a good shoe.
Doesn't disqualify
It
it.
doesn't disqualify it. It's also, and I know we're old and we like to put that into the factor sometimes. Not that the other shoes aren't part of Air Jordan history,
Mhm.
but I feel like that shoe is so much more formative to what the Air Jordan 3.
It has a longer place in Air
Yeah.
Jordan history.
And
Okay.
I remember like when I first started working at Complex, there was like a random moment where like Drake wore the Mocha Jordan 3s like back in like the
Spotted.
Automatically top 6.
Yeah, back
Spotted.
then, and we're like,
Six,
oh,
six,
when he
six,
pulled out something like it was always the Mocha 3 was cool to me because once you get past this on the list, or I think the next shoe, it's all the OG ones. It's all the
Yes.
obvious ones, and like Mochas aren't OG, but
Yeah.
it's an older Air Jordan 3, and it was always like the
If you know, you know.
yeah, it's like the one choice where you're like, we're talking about like, OG Air Jordan 11s. You're like, but if you went with the Columbias, you had the one that not everyone had. So the Mocha to me was that one.
I agree with you on that on the Mochas, but I also think the history is a little bit muddled because of this thing we're talking about of when they first came out, them not being that much of a hot coffee commodity.
But yeah, but it's so influential in the sense that you take a white Air Jordan 3 that kind of looks like an OG,
Yeah.
put the brown cement print on it, and we all we talk about brown Air Jordans being a brick in the past. That's true. and maybe people like them now, but those women's 8 lows were probably one of the biggest Air Jordan.
Yeah.
The brown. I think
Yeah.
Yachty wore them on
Yes.
full size one, the brown and pink.
Yep.
Those.
Hideous.
I remember like that shoe. Just you could not sell that when it came out. But this shoe, in like brown Air Jordans with Travis and everything,
20 years later.
it just feels like such a trailblazing sneaker, and it's stood the test of time.
Came back out as a retro in
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes here, looking at the list. 2018, it came back out as a retro.
Yeah.
I can't really remember how many people participated, but it was that thing of like, you could get a crispy pair, they weren't going to fall apart on you.
The resale went up on them too, because I remember being like, at the time, being like, oh, I think I can get them for cheap, and then I was like, wait, why are these shoes like $500?
Were you going to buy them?
I would wear that shoe.
I would love to see. There are certain Jordans in general I like to see Welty in,
Yeah.
but I would love to
That'd
see
be
you in
Mochas
a
are
Mocha Jordan
the
3.
Mochas are cool,
I
man.
like
Like
that.
that's
Yeah,
a
it's a
shoe
good
that
shoe. It's a good
I
shoe.
very rarely just put like my own personal bias in here
Yeah.
of like which ones I would want to wear.
You would
This is
never.
this is the one of the ones I don't care. I think Mocha Jordan 3s are cooler than some of those Jordan 3s. So
But not cooler than any of the ones that we have higher on the list.
They're cool.
well,
than-
not cool, not as
Cooler
Dom,
than-
as Dom Kennedy said, cooler than some gray 3s.
I don't like these.
Next up on the list, hot coffee, cool
So,
gray.
This is the one, number 5, Air Jordan 3 Cool
Man, these
Gray.
were such a big deal when they first
Hard
came
shoe.
out.
I think this might be the first Jordan I ever owned.
I don't like these.
I remember specifically buying
This
these
era
off
of
somebody
Nike
on
Talk,
Nike Talk.
come
Yeah.
on,
I
man.
don't like the orange accents. It reminds me of elephant print Jordan hoodies right here. And
On
I
the
was
pouch,
never.
yeah.
I love cool gray 11s. I even like cool gray 9s. These 3s never did it for me.
No, these are awesome.
I
is an
actually
awesome
had a
shoe.
pair and never really wore them. I know I'm in the minority. Not my favorite.
This is a special shoe, and I think, not to spoil the rest of the list, but you can guess what else is on
Yes.
here. I do stand by this being the best non-OG Air
Retro
Jordan
Plus.
3 colorway. Yeah, it sounds weird to say it, but all the other stuff we've looked at
And
on here, I
when
don't
these
think
came
it's
out
better
in
than these.
2021, people were hyped because they're like, "This is bringing the energy back."
Damn.
Yeah. And again, talk about personal bias. This was, I think, the first Jordan I ever owned. Definitely the first pair I ever bought from somebody online. So it has some nostalgia to it. I still have that pair. I just remember the white flaking off the midsoles because it comes from that era of not the best quality Jordan retros, but cool gray still felt special back then. Cool gray still feels special
Yes,
now.
love cool gray.
Seeing it transferred over to other sneakers, just smart move, but did it differently with the orange in there. And there were other Jordan 3s from this era that were big misses, and it took steps like do the right thing, Jordan
Yep.
3s. Those are misses to me. No
Well,
pun intended.
that's one
but-
shoe I think is interesting to talk about.
Which one?
The do the right thing Jordan
Mhm.
3s, because that's a shoe that I feel like some people watching this is like, that shoe didn't make the list.
I
Like,
wanted that shoe a lot as a 17-year-old.
but I still don't think that that's a good shoe.
Kind of offensive. The
oh,
shoe, not your opinion.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with you.
Do the right thing. Amazing movie. Spike Lee's connection to sneaker culture. Don't even have to go through it.
Yeah.
But I remember when those came out, I feel like a lot of people who love that shoe now, it's revisionist history because that was not the most popular sneaker when it dropped.
Not a hot shoe.
Because
not
people
a
had
hot
so
shoe.
much expectations for Spike Lee to like see, had been doing the Spizike at
Yeah.
the time, but the do the right thing 3s like, oh, Spike's gonna drop a Jordan 3.
Joe, did you like the do the right thing Air Jordan 3s?
No.
Not into it at all.
No.
Never
Too-
tempted you?
Never. Not a thought of like.
I
should
could do
get
these,
Yeah,
yeah.
not my favorite.
And I remember like that was a big era of, and I think maybe Nike still does it to some point, but like back then when they were dropping, you know, a do the right thing 3, they would use the same colors on other shoes in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was a 11 IE low that came out like
Same color.
Ooh.
because
I
they
remember
like
that.
blue and yellow
Ooh.
Yes, I
combination.
remember
And I-
those.
and I don't know the reason behind
remember
like them
those.
using it, whether like, you know, we want to use all these colors through the line or we need to use up, you know.
Use up the paint we
I
have.
remember that.
yeah, they get it at a discount.
remember
I don't know.
those.
You know what I mean? I don't know, but it always felt like there was always a few like off shoes that they're like, we need to use the same color scheme on it throughout the season, and you're
Yeah.
just like,
He's
ooh.
building the line out, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Ugh.
as bad as I think, these are all opinions, as bad as I think the do the right thing Jordan 3 is, the do the right thing Jordan 11 IE low is even worse, even more criminal.
Wasn't there a Spizike in this in
Yeah.
the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So
at least that makes sense because it's do the right thing and a spike. And
Yeah,
it's
but I
like,
know some people will say that, you know, they loved it, but outside of those 2 first colorways on the Spizike, what came out after that was god awful.
I had the red ones.
The black and red ones.
all red suede.
We're all being honest.
Oh,
here
I
today.
thought.
This
Remember
is
the
good.
remember it was like the King's County. It was like the
Yes.
black red
Yeah.
with the
With
yellow.
Yes, I didn't like those,
Oh,
but I
man.
loved the first.
Jordan
color-
had some bad color combos
love
back
the
in that
first colorway,
2006,
though.
2007 era, man.
Yeah.
I loved the
Blue
black
and
colorway.
yellow, red. Oh, just like thinking. I remember it back then, just looking back and being like, you could have made the shoe just look so much better if it was just black and red and you throw yellow on it.
Yeah,
and
but
it's-
how many times can you do? Imagine how hard it is to be working in Jordan Brand. And you're like, oh, we're gonna just do another black and red.
Hey, people still buy it.
You're absolutely right. We have 4 sneakers left on this list, and we said it before. It's obvious what this next territory is. These are
Yes.
the 4 original colorways
Yep.
of the Air Jordan 3, and maybe it feels like a punt, or maybe it feels easy or like a cop out to say, look, we just put the
Yeah.
original ones at the top. But that's what Jordan Brand and Jordan Retros at their best are about: heritage,
Deserved.
history, classics.
The
These
ol-
are all classics.
The only argument I see to be made on this,
Immediately undermining me.
no,
Fi-
between the
blue
f-
over
no,
fire
between-
red?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
between the order that we have.
yeah,
the top
yeah,
one.
yeah, no,
Okay.
it's
Is that
between
it?
it's between
I
the
agree.
number 4 and number 3.
What's
Let's-
number 4 and what's number 3?
Let's do that right now.
Number 4 is True Blue 3.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Fire Red.
Okay, hold on. Who puts the True Blue 3 over the Fire Red? Raise your hand now.
Me personally, I would put
No.
True Blue over Fire Red.
Me-
So
yes.
what I would say is on this is that I think that the True Blue 3, Jordan never wore that shoe in an NBA game. He only wore it like in an exhibition for Team USA. Whereas the Fire Red 3s are a shoe that Michael Jordan really built the legacy of that sneaker in on court.
So we're giving a little bit of
Credence.
extra
Yeah.
juice or weight to the
Yep.
bigger history around the Fire Red Jordan
Yeah.
3. I'll take the True Blue Jordan 3 personally.
Same.
I think they look better, but I understand putting
The Fire Red over it.
yeah.
I think the True Blue Jordan 3, and maybe this is the wrong way to judge it, but like had a little bit more mystique as well because it wasn't as around as the Fire Red Jordan 3. What was that release around 2008 or 2009 that was like a Euro only thing? And I
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
remember
that was yep. I forgot
really
about
wanting that. But I think both these pairs, they don't do the color blocking on the 3 quite as perfectly as the white,
that.
black.
And then they get
and-
brought back when Jordan was on the Wizards.
Yes.
Yep.
2011, profiling Cuddy for a couple cover stories.
Yep.
He goes on tour, huge into Jordan at that time. Jordan 3s, Jordan 4s.
Mhm.
They were releasing. We must have talked sneakers in passing. And I remember I got a pair, and then he was like, do you know anyone who could hold me down a pair? And I think I got him a pair. And then I remember, I think New Year's or so, he was performing at Live and wore the Jordan 3 True Blues.
Were you there at Live with him?
No.
And then he wore a pair of, was he wearing the True Blues? He's wearing a pair of Jordan 3s when he got friggin'
I don't know what that movement
No,
you just did. Is
those
that the
were laser
Armenian
fours.
dance you were doing?
those were laser 4s.
Which ones?
The
What,
one
what happened?
he got like really, really drunk at
Laser
a party
4s.
and someone had to like physically throw him over his shoulder. There's
No,
a photo
that
of him
was-
and he has like the Jordans on feet.
Got it.
That was Laser 4.
What year was this that this happened?
believe 2011.
So this is before sneaker shopping ever happened, and here
Yes.
you are
Yes.
helping rappers acquire sneakers.
Yeah. But I remember I got 2 pairs, and yeah, he wore them on stage at Club Live.
I'm
I
wearing
also
True Blue-
feel like he may have worn them in the first Complex cover shoot, but I think that was a different pair.
Okay.
But hopefully I'm not getting my photos mixed up.
True Blue, Fire Red, and then look, it often happens, and not just
Yep.
because we're fatigued and Joe's voice is giving out, that we get to the top of the list and that the top 2 entries or
Yes.
the top 1 entry are so obvious that we feel like we don't need to dedicate a bunch of space to it. I especially feel that way with these 2 shoes,
Agreed.
Black Cement Jordan 3 and White Cement Jordan 3, because we've debated other lists on here, and we've if you spend any time making content about sneakers, you have to have talked about these already for
there's
years.
literally there's some people who might like the white cements over the black cements.
Mm.
No,
Not a lot.
no, hold on. No, personal, like just like personal
Yeah.
take. Like some people are like, oh, I like the white wearing the white cements more.
We
than
have
the
White Cement at 2, we have Black Cement at 1.
but I don't think that there's any like real like
No.
objective opinion about what's the bigger shoe of all time.
You're saying
don't-
that no matter what, the Black Cement Jordan 3 is a bigger shoe.
Yes,
I also think total personal preference, agreed. But I really don't think I've ever heard someone say the white cement's better than the black cement.
I can see there's people that are like I'd rather
Agreed,
wear it,
but
and I feel like maybe I'm one of those people that I have the white cement 3s, and I like that shoe. And I remember wearing it not a bunch, but I wore it a few times 2 years ago when
Mhm.
they first came out, the remastered ones.
Mhm.
and I thought that those were awesome. And I would personally rather just have the white cement 3s over black cement 3s because I would just wear them more. But I can just say objectively that black cement 3s are a bigger shoe than white cement 3s.
And black cement 3, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, has a little bit more of that sense to it where I'm buying 5 pairs. When a black cement 3 comes back around, everybody talks about, I need multiples. I feel like you don't hear people talk about the white cement 3s in the same way.
White cement 3 does have a little bit, I feel like, of interesting sneakerhead lore to it because, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 2012?
You're better at the years than I am, but where are we going?
When they dropped the 88 3s?
I think that was right after that. 2013, I think, was the 88 3s.
So the 88 3 came out. It was one of the first times in a long time that they put the Nike Air on the back of a shoe.
A Nike store exclusive, if I remember correctly.
And I feel like that shoe for a long time until they did, maybe 5-6 years until, or at least a handful of years until like more Jordan retros or collaborations came out. I feel like those 88 3s were like up here in sneaker culture.
Well, yeah, because also you didn't get another Nike Air on the back white cement Jordan 3 until 2018, and that was the clear sole pair, which plenty of people bought and plenty of people enjoyed, but you really don't want a clear sole on your Jordan 3s.
Was that you thought the free throw line ones?
Yeah, exactly. Which cool release,
special, cool tidbit, but it's just not the same.
Just give me the OG with the right branding on the back. So white cement number 2, black cement number 1.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory.
Yep. It's all because Vashti had the birthday cake of the black cement 3s, right?
Yeah.
The most important note.
We want to know what you guys think. Was the order wrong? Did we miss any? Let us know in the comments.
Can I say one other thing?
Sure.
I don't want to get us out of here on a down note, but I do want to mention briefly some of the positive responses I've seen to the fires out in LA. Some people in the sneaker scene doing what they can to help people out in LA who are in need right now. Brooklyn Dom, I think you were about to mention, he was saying, come by my shop. I want to give people shoes. I want to give people clothes if they lost stuff. People lost everything. I know somebody who lost everything. I saw Barlow saying, look, if people need shoes, I got you. I have extra clothes. We've been hoarding this stuff. We can help people out. Casey Lynch from Bricks and Wood was trying to put together some sort of coalition of people who are involved in street wearing sneakers to really come together and put together resources to help people out. And I love seeing that when these disasters strike, when people in the scene really are focused on giving back and helping people out. So salute to all those people and anybody else who's been involved in those relief efforts. We salute you.
They're doing more than the politicians.
That's for darn sure.
Yep.
Definitely.
Censored myself there.
All right, everyone. Went through the list. We will be back in 2 weeks. Gives me some time for my voice to rest up. Apologies.
You sound like you're about to collapse.
Apologies. Thank you guys for bearing with my voice. Thank you guys for holding it down. But yes, we will see you in 2 weeks. Please comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you then. Thanks again.